Good afternoon once again, honorable members. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Long Island as he continues his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, before the luncheon hour, I had discussed the airport in Long Island, the progress of our waterworks, and given an update on various constituency-related initiatives we've been undertaking to progress and advance Long Island and its people. So I conclude that to move on to the next part of this presentation. Mr. Speaker, prior to the technical issues, I was stating that I am requesting random checks to the Ministry of Finance and also the posting of Ministry of Finance officers, given that we have second homeowners, persons coming to Long Island, selling homes, but never recording the sale of these homes to a new owner, and thereby avoiding paying real property taxes. I noted that homes are being purchased and persons are defrauding the government by simply not stating the true value of the property. And you have several homes or several persons who have purchased several homes and operate unregistered, all-inclusive resorts without changing the status from residential to commercial or even pursuing the necessary approvals. I also indicated that in carrying out their review, finance and maybe other agencies would be able to clamp down on those persons who are engaging in businesses that are reserved for Bahamians, particularly those persons on the mark in Long Island. The Speaker, the Road Traffic Department in Long Island, worthy of applause. They're newly opened, the persons are finding their footing, but they're doing a great job. However, the real challenge is road traffic in New Providence, where the failure to issue SD plates has a negative impact on local businesses. These plates cause operators to miss or not meet their commitments and or to use their vehicles, as has been seen on the island, without tags. I'm perplexed, Mr. Speaker, at how people living in New Providence can make decisions totally disconnected from the realities on the ground without a second thought of the welfare and the impact on islanders. There's also a need for additional taxi and toll plates, particularly as we move towards a new international airport. I'd indicated earlier that I had a chat with the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture and expressed to him some of my concerns relative to sports, youth issues and culture on the island. And unfortunately, our community doesn't have any sporting leagues at the moment, non-existent. And frankly, youth and culture initiatives are unseen unless initiated by the schools themselves. We want to participate in junior jump canoe as well. Long Island, Mr. Speaker, does not have a fixed commercial bank, and I recognize that our island cannot be unbanked. So as I move on to the next chapter of this presentation, I'm inviting the Bank of the Bahamas to consider Long Island as an option. I've written to various parties, reference that, and I look forward to a positive response. Lastly, I'm a bit disappointed that the local government allocation has not increased. It remains at $640,000, and I believe that with the expansion of Long Island and the activities happening on the ground, that allocation should increase from $640,000, where it's been for many years now, certainly throughout my term, to a little higher than that. Mr. Speaker, now turn my attention to the Water and Sewage Corporation, which I've had the pleasure to have charge for the last 3 budgets. I was not yet appointed during the 2017 budget, but we've embarked upon a reformist agenda at WSC. And I want to begin by acknowledging the Board of Directors, the Deputy Chair, Deanne Wallace-Whitfield, George Carey, Bennett Minnis, Nicola Russell Pettigan, and Mr. Carl Oliver. I also want to acknowledge the General Manager, Mr. Elwood Donaldson, and the entire executive team at the Water and Sewage Corporation. Indeed, teamwork makes the dream work. Mr. Speaker, The last year has been challenging for us, and though this year has been slightly better, 2021 has also been challenging. Obviously, we've been beset by the COVID-19 pandemic and the continued recovery and reconstruction efforts in Abaco as a result of Hurricane Dorian. We are further constrained by the fact that we are unable to disconnect due to our caring government's mandate, which is to preserve our people's health given the pandemic and ensure that the water is available for persons to maintain their hygiene. Despite our constraints, Mr. Speaker, we've managed to keep water on throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas, and no one can say that they've been disconnected from March 2020 to the present day. That said, the unprecedented challenges we have faced are due to a combination of circumstances, including a substantial reduction in cash collection due to Hurricane Dorian, the loss of Abaco's the loss of WSC's second highest revenue generator, that's Abaco, greatly impacted our cash flow. Abaco's cash collection decreased by 80% from 2.185 million year-to-date, December 2019, to 427,000 for the same period, 2020. Note also that in 2021, though, there's a slight increase in Abaco cash collection from 90,000 year-to-date, that's up to May 2020, to 207,000 year-to-date, May 2021. That amount is nevertheless significantly less than Abaco's collection in previous years, which stood at some 1.32 million at this point, particularly as the 2019 number. COVID-19, Mr. Speaker, has had a devastating impact on WSC's cash flow. There's an overall decrease in cash collections of 11.5 million, or 19%, from 60.8 million year-to-date 2019 to 49.3 million for the same period of 2020. Additionally, there's a decrease in 2021 cash collection of 24%, or 5.7 million, from 21.4 million year-to-date May 2020 to 17 million year-to-date May 2021. So, Mr. Speaker, the directive to cease the disconnections upon the onset of COVID has resulted in a shortfall in residential customers' accounts for the period March to December 2020 of 11.46 million. So the year-to-date shortfall given that directive from January to present day is another 1.5 million. Mr. Speaker, the reduction in cash collection has resulted in an increase in WSC accounts receivables, and our accounts receivables have grown from 38.7 million in January 2020 to 45.5 million in May 2021. This is an increase of 6.8 million, or 18%. The received balance, or the receivable balance outstanding to WSC by government as at May 31st, 2021 is 4.37 million. The reduction in cash flow has also resulted in an increase in WSC accounts payable. As at the end of May, WSC had a total outstanding to vendors of 34.6 million. And that includes 25.8 million that is outstanding for water purchases. Mr. Speaker, the total cost for water purchases in 2018 was 31.4 million, 31.8 million in 2019, and 29.1 million in 2020. This, of course, does not factor in the shortfall, because, you know, you can pay, something costs $10 and you pay $5, you still owe $5. Of course, we have a pension liability as well. The total pension liability at the 31st December 2020 stood at 81.1 million. Mr. Speaker, a spark of encouragement, however, is the 782 new customers that have been added over this period. Relative to the pension liability, the board is looking at, we will be looking at hiring an actuary and seeing what can be done to improve that situation. Mr. Speaker, in recent months, WSC and the government have been placed in a most unfortunate position by an oral provider. That provider has repeatedly threatened to cut water supply, even during a pandemic, and has demonstrably carried out threats in central Eleuthera and cutbacks in south Eleuthera. In recent months, there was a threat to cut the water supply to South Eleuthera, San Salvador, and Inagua. In a most unusual turn of events, this provider also embarked upon a local public relations smear campaign, having foreign-based agents appear on local TV and radio, social media, as well as distributing flyers to the local populace of each of the islands while placing blame on WSC. Mr. Speaker, the facts are that the Inagua contract ended in 2018, San Salvador in 2019, and South Eleuthera in 2020. They were all month to month, and the company had been given notice in each instance that WSC would move on. When our new plants arrived and were delivered to the various locations, that appears to have triggered a response, and the most recent threats began. Quite honestly, we'd been in communications with the local manager who told myself and the general manager on a joint telecon that all they needed was a letter stating a fixed period that we would need them for before we transitioned to our plants, and an undertaking that we would address balances. This was provided. However, the goalposts kept moving, only in what we could all have concluded was an attempt to force us to enter into a long-term contract, a new one. Ultimately, a 6-month agreement was arrived at with the assistance of the Ministry of Finance, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, that would see the receivables paid down and current bills paid up. We look forward to a seamless transition. Meanwhile, WSC is installing its new plants in San Salvador, Inagua, and South Eleuthera. For far too long, WSC has been paying absurd amounts to get this, buy back our own water from foreign providers. The contracts are absurd. And you have a situation where WSC owns the land, pays the electricity for the production of the water, provides coverage for the work permits and customs exemptions, in some cases even pays for the drilling of the wells, for the construction of the buildings for the plants to be in if they're not in containers, for consumables, etc. Mr. Speaker, since coming to office, it was discovered that many of these reverse osmosis suppliers benefited from lucrative contracts to the disadvantage of the corporation and ultimately the Bahamian people. From 1996 to present, the Water and Sewage Corporation has paid more than $395 million to privately owned reverse osmosis suppliers, all foreign owned. The corporation has therefore undergone a major policy shift towards WSC owning and operating reverse osmosis plants, saving the corporation millions of dollars. The average purchase cost per plant is $306,000 with a 1.3 million imperial gallon per day capacity. With $395 million, Mr. Speaker, I could put a plant in every settlement in the Bahamas and have change left over. Of the $395 million, $302,489,398.60 has been paid to Consolidated Water. $60 million to Aqua Design, $11.2 million to Water Makers, $1.7 million to Clearview, $7.3 million to Matrix, $1.1 million to TSG, we now own that plant, $9.9 million to Bimini Bay Water, and $823,000 plus the Bimini Bay, so the Bimini Water Services. So one is Bimini Bay Water and one is Bimini Water Services. And then you had another $490,000 plus paid to Consolidated Water Bimini. Today, the corporation owns and operates plants in Sweetensky. That'll be updated at the end of the summer. Moores Island and Ragged Island, where we recently doubled the capacity last month. We are completing installations to plants in Dedmansky, in Salvador, Inagua, and South Eleuthera. We come back to that. This is some of our plants. Inspection of some of these plants in different islands in the Bahamas. Mr. Speaker, a new plant is being built for Crooked Island, and we expect that to come this week. We expect to complete and commission all these plants by the end of the summer. We have hired RO specialist engineers and technicians and developed a rigorous maintenance plan that will be codified by policy. We expect to save millions per year via these operations. This is up from a figure of 0 at the beginning of the administration. Mr. Speaker, we've undertaken major works throughout the Family Islands. And I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, not only have we done it throughout the Family Islands, but also in the Providence. Thus far, we've executed a $26.7 million loan by the Caribbean Development Bank, and I can tell you that so far we've spent some $21.6 million of that amount, carrying out works in Pinewood Gardens, $2.2 million, Coral Lakes / Bowstring Hill, $1.26 million, San Salvador, $1.4 million. I addressed Long Island earlier. Mr. Speaker, the South Andres works are ready to commission, and we will be turning on water in South Andres before the end of the month. And I know that the Prime Minister and the DPM, we will be inviting them to be there. The Minister's administration will be bringing water to South Andres. For the first time in South Andres, we laid some 140,000 feet of pipe. It's 450 service connections and 1,100 beneficiaries at a cost of $6.58 million. We've also done some other works in South Andres, upgraded the Bluff well field supply. We've seen the completion of new mains in Nicholstown, Mastic Point, Countstown. We've upgraded the operational valves and well field pipings and associated fittings to improve operational efficiency and service reliability in places like Bowen Sound, Central Andres. We've also installed storage tanks in places like Cargill Creek, Central Andres, and procured new chlorination systems. And in Lutra, we've refurbished the Bogue well fields, completed the upgrade of the distribution system on Harbor Island to eliminate poor water circulation and improve water quality. We've installed a new pumping station and piping and distribution pumps for all of North Lutra to complement the completion of that new plant that was recently brought on stream. And we are completing offices in Governor's Harbor. We just opened a new commercial office in Governor's Harbor. Carried out a number of service lateral upgrades in Central Lutra. In Exuma, we are improving the distribution system that is being completed to complement the road paving program in coordination with the Ministry of Works. These plans are currently being made for some $1.7 million worth of works. We have a team on the ground at present sounding various communities of Exuma. They have a major leak there. So I want the people of Exuma to know that when your water pressure cuts back at night, that's because of that major leak. The team is on the ground trying to find that leak to address that and improve your water situation. We've also, we were the first agency to immediately replace our plant or any infrastructure, Ragged Island. We've since doubled the capacity of that reverse osmosis plant in Ragged Island. Well, obviously, this is the Ragged Island plant, reverse osmosis plant in Ragged Island. And Mr. Speaker, Crooked Island is at substantial completion. We laid some 22,000 feet of pipe, some 80 service connections, and 200 beneficiaries at the cost of $1.7 million. A new RO plant is expected to arrive this week, and we will be turning on water in Crooked Island in the coming weeks. Speaker, in Meguana, we installed a Myers pump in Abraham's Bay and carried out various other works, portable generator, distribution upgrades. The same in Acklands, where we improved the water tanker delivery in areas like Hard Hill, implemented or installed new valves in the high tank at Lovely Bay, etc. And in Inagua, we have completed the replacement of all service laterals to improve pressure at a cost of $306,000, as well as mains extension to the order of $165,000. In San Salvador, we've completed a new office for better customer service with new customers as a result of the new water main that was completed under the CDB project and commissioned in early 2019. And I'm sure you all would remember the photo of myself and the member for Cat Island. Speaker, in Bimini, we've commenced a reverse osmosis supply from a new service provider at a reduced price cost for the cost of saving us hundreds or thousands per annum. Abaco, Mr. Speaker, since Hurricane Dorian, we have paid a lot of attention to Abaco. Our emergency response to Abaco, our restoration efforts have been extensive. System maintenance, especially with the absence of DPL power. Mr. Speaker, we've now revamped our system. We've issued contracts to the tune of some 15.7 million. Additional works are yet to be awarded, and that's not including the Treasure Key and Spring City sewage, which I know that the government is looking to embark on a venture with the private sector. Major works, though, are undertaken. We're undertaken in Marsh Harbor. We are 85% complete at the Marsh Harbor pumping station in Wellfield, including a new 1.5 million imperial gallon storage tank, the biggest in any family island. New pumping station, generator building and auxiliary buildings, new standby generators for the pumping station in Wellfield, and a new hybrid power blending system to maximize solar energy usage, including a 216 kilowatt solar system in the well fields and a 120 kilowatt solar system at the pumping station. These works will also be commissioned by midsummer 2021. The PM is going to have a busy schedule. We have major improvements to the Marsh Harbor water distribution system as well. They are 85% complete, and WSC is scoping additional possible works for Eastern Shores and Central Pines. Major improvements to the Treasure Key water distribution system are now substantially complete. With major restoration works, Green Turtle Key, new customer service office and pumping station building are now substantially complete. We are also constructing, or we are pretty much completed a 750,000 imperial gallon Treasure Key storage tank. We expect that too to be completed and commissioned in midsummer of 2021. Other improvements to Abaco, new fleet vehicles and heavy plant, repairs to the Green Turtle Key storage tank, and construction of a new 120,000 imperial gallon storage tank on Grand Key. Like I said earlier, the government is exploring a PPP solution for the Treasure Key storage rehabilitation, and hopefully any PPP solution may also include Spring City. We are looking at works at the new office site and staff operations for Treasure Key, and how best we can quickly roll out these various initiatives. Mr. Speaker, all of our new water storage tanks are designed to withstand 200-mile-per-hour winds when empty. All buildings are being elevated. New standby generators are being installed in elevated plinths, etc. Cat Island. And so before I get there, Mr. Speaker, this is a representation of our works in Abaco. Abaco. Abaco, you're on your way. Cat Island. Yeah. I know they thought I forgot Cat Island. You thought I forgot you, huh? Not a chance. Mr. Speaker, this is the Cat Island we met. I wish I had the photo of the old lady carrying the water on her head when I first visited in 2018. This is the Cat Island we met. You got two standpipes and a drum here, and that was the system. And Mr. Speaker, this is the Cat Island today. Cat Island today. Mr. Speaker, Cat Island is moving and steadily progressing with 10,660 feet of pipe. It's 127,920 inches being installed. And you know, this was specially bought from Cat Island. I wanted to give this as a souvenir to the member, but he isn't here today. It's a special Cat Island pipe bought from down home. Mr. Speaker, I'll rest it on his side. The completion of the inaugural water supply works will be concluded in January 2022. This is the first time piped water will be supplied in Cat Island. It's So, Mr. Speaker, I wonder if the member for Cat Island, Rumpkins and Sal will attend that grand commissioning ceremony. Hundreds of people will benefit, Mr. Speaker. We can never do everything in every place all at once. Not even my constituency, not any of my colleagues. But we do it incrementally. We did hundreds, other people did zero. And that's the difference. Mr. Speaker, in response to a challenge by the Prime Minister when he came down to Cat Island, the corporation is also preparing the preliminary design for the balance of works for Cat Island, for which you will hear more about in the near future. Mr. Speaker, in New Providence, Mr. Speaker, WSC carries out approximately $2.6 million in water distribution system improvement every year to maintain and improve the level of service to our valued customers. We continue to work with the Ministry of Works in executing its paving program. Mr. Prime Minister, member for Kalani, I can tell you that Tropical Gardens is complete and ready for paving. Major works are also nearing completion, Mr. Speaker, in Nassau Village. So that will be ready for paving. Upcoming works in New Providence include, but are not limited to, Bamboo, Pinewood Boulevard, Otto Avenue, Barclay Avenue, Acadian Place, Kenya Avenue, and Donahue Terrace. And Mr. Speaker, I can tell you in conjunction with the Office of the Prime Minister, the first phase of the Over the Hill project to increase the number of residents connected to potable water, city water, is substantially completed along Quaco Street. The next phase will commence shortly along Bola Avenue. Other streets planned will be Philness Close and Sea Spray Lane. So Bain and Grantstown and Farm Road, you're on the way. The initial pilot project of $355,000 to assess residents' willingness to connect with government assistance was undertaken. That is to connect to the city water supply. It is anticipated that the final investments will be some $2.7 million, and that is projected to include new connections for over 1,000 residents in Over the Hill area who do not have city water supply, and the reconnection of some 1,650 residents who are presently disconnected from the city water supply. Mr. Speaker, in the coming months, we have a number of commissionings. We'll be commissioning Long Island, lots 1 and 2, Long Island, lots 3 and 4, South Andros, Crooked Island, Cat Island, Marsh Harbor, Abaco, Pumping Station and Solar Field, Saudi Lutra, reverse osmosis, and Salvador, reverse osmosis, Inagua, reverse osmosis, Moores Island, reverse osmosis, Sweetens Key, Treasure Key, Abaco Pumping Station, Green Turtle Key Pumping Station, and the New Providence IDB funded sewer works. That is in Fox Hill, Airport Industrial Park, Flamingo Gardens, and Malcolm Park. 4 sewer lift stations at the cost of $16 million. Mr. Speaker, we'll also be commissioning the Ragged Island reverse osmosis plant. Speaker, we also have some future works lined up for the Family Islands. That is the completion. We hope to get full generator capacity in all the Family Islands, and to upgrade our offices and facilities in Maguana, Berry Islands, and South Andros. We're also looking to refurbish the North Andros pumping station at a cost of $94,000, to refurbish the Mangrove Key Old Mains, cost of $150,000, and to undertake a phase 1 upgrade of various North and Central Andros well field and storage sites, including Fresh Creek, Mastic Point, Stafford, and Staniel Creek. In Exuma, Mr. Speaker, we are coordinating with the Ministry of Works to replace pipes in Georgetown, at a cost of $1.7 million, to establish a new operations and office compound in Exuma, and to upgrade the wastewater plant to service the harbor and the fish fry. In Eleuthera, Mr. Speaker, our future works will take us to expand the water storage facilities in central Eleuthera, and to complete a new pumping station at the Naval Base Station. In Maguana, we're looking to replace all of the old service laterals to reduce non-revenue water and leaks at a cost of $108,000. And in Crooked Island, we're looking to install 2 new booster stations to complement the new RO plant that's being installed. On Long Island, we are also looking to carry out some small works, Mr. Speaker, as some transmission mains in central Long Island, and so on. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to note that last week sometime, even prior to that, I heard a reference to an individual who's been a member of our line staff. And Mr. Speaker, this individual decided to become a politician and has been placed on leave. Sir, everyone knows that whenever someone ventures into politics and they hold a government job, the honorable and mandated path has been to resign. Frankly, depending on the policies of the private sector, Mr. Speaker, companies in the private sector also call upon one to do the same. In this case, the industrial agreement at Article 1311 itself reads, and I quote, employees vying for national elections be given time off without pay to prepare for the same. Such persons are to resume their duties within 1 month after the election if unsuccessful. It's much better than elsewhere where you're called upon to outright resign. Mr. Speaker, everyone knows that once your nomination by a major political party is announced, there's a path to be taken. I note that some in the PLP want to conveniently bend the rule for some, but demand enforcement of the rule for others. And Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying this. Bahamians need not forget the PLP's Charter for Governance, the great PLP hoax, promises and empty rhetoric about initiatives and projects that never materialized. Just how those pipes in Cat Island never materialized. Everyone here, I'm sure, remembers Operation Ceasefire, or promises to renationalize BTC and sell 9% of the government shares to the public, or Operation Home Restoration, a 10-point plan to mitigate home foreclosures, or promised inner-city violence breakers who would reduce crime, or the promise to double the budget in education, or the one that was for free electricity, all pipe dreams. So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to wish a happy Father's Day to all of the fathers of my constituency and across the Bahamas. And I would particularly like to wish my grandfather and my father a happy Father's Day. Mr. Speaker, I give my full-throated support to this budget. Thank you.